Hey everyone, welcome to Race 2 in the main competition of Season 5. Today we're at Rallyland Temperate, more specifically at Special Stage 5. So as you can see, on the left is the Marina, my own reference car, and on the right we have the Armament, which is the wild card for this race. And both cars are sideways just about everywhere, but the difference is in why and how they slide. The Marina slides mostly because it is set up that way. It has a very aggressive front end and the all-terrain tires actually grip up. So the front end really does bite, and because of the tire compound, the Marina is able to stick to its line for the most part here on gravel. Whereas the Armament slides because the tires just have no grip whatsoever here, and it was actually very difficult to navigate this car around this track. I've had many retests with it, and the main problem is that just while the car does slide on turn in, you cannot hold the line when it slides, unlike what you could do with the Marina or also with the Mara that we'll see in the next head-to-head. The Armament just kind of, you gotta really be careful when you do initiate a slide with it. You gotta be mindful of the speed you're going into a corner with, otherwise you're going straight on and off the track, only sideways rather than understeering. And as a result of all of this, the Marina already has a significant lead here, as you can see. It's just able to maintain the speed much better through the corners due to the all-terrain tire compound, but the Armament is still doing reasonably well here. As you can no doubt also see, this track is has a lot of very tight and winding corners and lots of crests that you need to be careful not to be too late with the braking. You need to brake in front of a lot of jumps and crests, otherwise you just go flying and you can't make it around the next corner. And so this is something that also took me quite a while to learn when I first drove on this track. I am now pretty experienced on this track, not only because of this race, but driven on it before as well. But this is definitely a tricky one, and will probably be the cause for a lot of resets when you first drive onto this. The Marina is finished in 244.8 and the Armament will finish in 249.5. So on to our first head-to-head here in the actual competition, the Mara versus the HFF, and both cars, I'm gonna tell you already, this is gonna be a really close one. Even though these cars are very different here on this track, the Mara is similar to my car in the way that it does have a very aggressive front end, probably even more so than my car, and it causes the rear end to step out pretty much whenever you turn in, but it is nicely controllable through the slide. And the HFF on the other hand has a much less pointy front end, but it just has a lot more grip. It's more solid, more stable. It is a little bit harder sometimes to get it turned into the corner, but it is more grippy. It doesn't slide as much. It's more about speed maintenance while going at a relatively clean, around the corner relatively cleanly. But both cars absolutely flying here. Not over this crest. Because believe me, I did plenty of attempts here that I know exactly when to brake for that crest. But the two here are very much neck and neck so far. The Mara maybe slightly quicker around these tighter corners here, but not much in it. And then the HFF is going to catch up most of the way here up the hill. Slight lead for the Mara at that checkpoint there, as we head into the last third or so of the track. and the HFF has is getting a much cleaner line through that downhill left-hander, so it catches up pretty much all the way for this checkpoint. And again, when you look at the styles of driving here, or the styles of cornering, the Mara is pretty much sideways from the start of the corner, whereas the HFF turns in without sliding, and then pretty much at the apex, when you start feeding in the throttle, it starts a mild oversteer, and then kind of rides that until the end. Both cars very close, but the HFF will take the win in the end at 241.1. And on to our final pairing, the Scarab versus the Saishin. Both cars on utility tires, and both cars were absolutely excellent last week. And, well, spoilers, they are once again here. And they are very, very different as well from each other. So the Scarab this time around is, well, it does like to slide, and it's very, like, it is sort of similar to my car or the Mara in the way that it does like to introduce some oversteer while when turning in, although not as much as my car or especially the Mara. Whereas the Saishin, it does that to some extent as well, but the Saishin was actually, in my opinion, the hardest car to drive here on this track, because it oversteers not only when turning in, it also likes to oversteer when you hit the brakes, or even when you just tap the brakes a little bit. The braking force on the Saishin seems extremely strong on this track, more so than I'm used to on other tracks. Not sure why, but either way, the Saishin seems to stop on a dime, and that locks up the brakes and causes the car to oversteer pretty much immediately. So you have to be really careful with the Saishin whenever you brake for a corner, to not overdo it on the brakes, and also to not spin the car out. It took me quite a few attempts to get it right with the Saishin, but ultimately I did get a fairly good time. But that being said, the Scarab, as you could see, was ahead at that checkpoint already, and the Scarab is absolutely in its element on this track. Like, there is, I was thinking that it might be before the race started, just because of the way that the Scarab is set up, with how nimble it is, and with the gearing being perfect for it. It's got just the right amount of downforce, and it's much easier to drive here, the Scarab. And as we head into this last part, you can see the Scarab is still ahead here for this final hairpin. And while both cars do get unsettled a little bit by some of these jumps, the Saishin is more stable, but nonetheless the Scarab is gonna take the win in 2:37.6. Thanks for watching.